All right, guys. Well, we'll keep the football for Jason going here on UCSS if he can't get it from his son. Our first topic of the day is brought to us by Rippling. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's SAD, software as a disservice, and that's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform from HR, payroll, IT, and finance, all in one place. Rippling's helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. And right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. Learn more at Rippling, RIPPLING.com/LockedOnNFL. Rippling.com/LockedOnNFL for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. Guys, we're going to start with the quarterback position for the Browns. I know Bo was a little bit triggered by how I phrased the
I was triggered.
quick topic description on the coming up today slate. It simply said unlocking Dillon Gabriel. Now, mind you, we have a certain amount of characters that fit on a graphic. So the question actually is, and Bo, we can start with you. What can the Browns, what can Kevin Stefanski, what can Tommy Rees do to put Dillon Gabriel in a best position to succeed against the New England Patriots?
I mean, there's very little because the coach is not good enough. The talent around him is not good enough. And most importantly, he's not good enough, I think. I'm judging based on 3 games. That's all we got.
But other than that,
yeah.
Should be easy.
Everything's great. Again, there's zero signs through 3 games that he's anything more than a run-of-the-mill, lower-tier starter / top backup at best. That's all the ammunition we have is 3 games, so that's all I can judge by. He doesn't do anything special. I don't know that there's any really good quarterbacks that don't have any special traits. And so it's hard to believe he's going to be any good. But then again, it's just so hard to say because the talent around him is just so poor. It looks like Judy's going to play, which is good. I mean, even though he hasn't been good.
Is that good?
I mean, he's still their best receiver.
Yeah, right.
I'm
As
kidding.
bad
I don't
as
think
he's
you're
been.
jumping up and down that he's going to be out there.
I'm just joking.
The rest of their receivers are really not NFL players. I don't think they have another NFL player in their wide receiver room. And it looks like Njoku has a decent chance to come back. And Conklin's going to play probably. So they're as healthy as they can be. Obviously, you want to run the ball like you did last week. But last week you ran the ball a lot because you were winning and because the team you were playing was a joke. This week, the team you're playing is at least solid, if not very good.
And because of the weather, I think they ran it.
Right, it was all of the above. But they mostly ran it in the second half because they were winning.
Yeah.
And so
work the clock.
It's going to be hard to protect him. He's got to make some plays. You're the quarterback. You got to make some plays. And so far, he hasn't.
Now, I agree with your premise for the most part. What are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to go out and sign new players. The line might be a little healthier. I think that will help.
It will be. I think it'll be better
Yeah.
with Conklin back. That's
I mean,
a big lift.
he is one of the guys that can make a difference.
Yeah.
If it was anybody
you're
other
really
than
down
him,
to one hole at left tackle,
which is good. So I do think that helps. But at this point in the game, the groceries are in the pantry. It is what it is. The one thing that I would disagree with you on, Bull, is I wish we were, as a group of fans and analysts, I wish we would hold our powder a little longer on the. And I know that we only got 3 games.
Yeah.
But I would say this: did anybody after 3 years think Sam Darnold had any good qualities to him?
well, Sam was a first-round pick.
Thank you.
I know he was.
I mean,
but
that's-
what makes it even more, it drives my point home even more. He had done something at the collegiate level to make NFL teams believe that he was going to be a tremendous quarterback. And the fact of the matter is, he wasn't. And so I think
he's still not, though, Jay. He's just okay. Like everybody,
Bull,
all the look at the second chance people were championing Geno Smith. How's he looking now?
No,
he's about to be benched.
I wasn't championing.
Well, a lot of people. Now, the next guy's Sam Darnold. He's been okay. He was good last year, and then he flamed out when it mattered.
Here's the difference,
And he's been
Bull.
okay
He
this
looked
year.
like a total bust, and now he's.
He looked like he was unserviceable.
Right.
Like couldn't work in any offense. And now he looks like a serviceable NFL quarterback. So I think to judge, and not just Sam Darnold, excuse me.
Of course it's too early to judge. Yes,
Yeah,
of
and
course.
I get it. I know
Yeah.
we only have 3 games, and I understand that. But the blanket statements to me, and I know that's what we do, are really rough. I hope that we give Shedeur Sanders the same grace. When he gets in there, I hope after 3 games we're not blanket state whatever it is for him. On the other hand, we have seen it the other way. They were talking about a number of quarterbacks over the last couple of years, and this goes, you can go back 10 years. Go back to RG3. Now, granted, he had an injury, but there are guys that have success and look like they're going to be a perennial Pro Bowl player, and then all of a sudden you're watching them and you're like, what happened? What in the world has happened to this guy? I think what the NFL is more than anything is it's ebbs and flows. They get tape on a guy. They figure out how to attack him. He takes a step back. Stroud is the guy, to me, that's the biggest example of that.
Yeah.
But even Jaden Daniels, I know he's been hurt.
Yeah,
He's been hurt. But when I had him on my fantasy team last year, so I watched virtually every snap. I don't have him this year, but I've watched him because I like his style of play and I like the player. But I've watched him a number of times this year, and I'm like, what is he doing right there? He has regressed. It's with his decision making. It's with just different things where he doesn't look the same. So I think my point here is, although I generally agree with your statement, like you're not going to, if you're not having success through the air, it's not like the ground is going to save the day. It is what it is. But I do think in terms of just the overall statement that Gabriel isn't it and has no skill set, and he might end up being mid. We don't know that yet. And I just wish everybody would, and not just on him, but on everybody, just kind of give these kids a chance. He's 3 games into his NFL career.
Yeah, I mean, every time I've said that, I qualify by saying it's not fair. I get it. The odds are he's not going to be good because most of the good quarterbacks are first-round picks.
I'll give you that. I will definitely give you that. Odds are he's going to be we've said it all year. Their quarterback of the future isn't on this roster. And that's just playing the odds. So, is a 3rd-round pick going to hit? Not as likely as you're going to get a hit in the 1st round. And they're going to draft a quarterback in the 1st round somewhere next year. So the development of these kids, you're just spinning your wheels because in all likelihood, their playing time is going to come to an end at the end of this year.
But you kind of just contradicted yourself because you just said slow the brakes on the 3rd round, but then you said we're going to skip over the 5th round and then we're going to draft the quarterback.
No, it's logical if it's less likely that a 3rd rounder is going to be the guy than a 1st rounder. It's even more less likely that the 5th rounder is going to be the guy when the 3rd rounder wasn't. I'm not saying that he won't be. What I'm saying is, to Bull's point, you're rolling dice at this point, and you're figuring what the odds are of getting a hit in the 3rd round. Right. And they're not great. Now, you can go through the pantheon of NFL quarterbacks. You're going to find a lot of successful quarterbacks that came not in the 1st round. So 2nd, 3rd, and beyond.
Right, but percentage-wise, a much smaller percentage.
That's it. Yeah. And that's what the NFL draft is. Your likelihood of hitting on a 1st-round pick is whatever it is, 75%. Yeah. In the 2nd round, it's 62%. There's a number on it. Yeah, and hit or miss is subjective, too. But in general, you're not going to hit a home run at 3rd round, and it's even less likely you're going to hit one out of the 5th round.
But they could have took a 1st-round quarterback.
They could have, absolutely. They could have.
They didn't feel like that was what they wanted to do, or they felt like that was.
Or that he wasn't there. That he wasn't there. And so far, Cam Ward is, like, even if they had the number 1 pick, if they had the number 1 pick, they probably would have taken Cam Ward.
They did have
Where
2.
would we be?
They did have 2. They didn't. Jackson Dart, they could have took him, but they didn't like him.
The jury's out.
Right now, it doesn't look good for Cam Ward. I haven't honestly watched him, so I don't know. Yeah. But so far, he's been terrible. Like the Browns, he's in a pretty bad situation, too.
I want you to go. Yeah. There's a whole case study to be done on quarterbacks going to bad teams, and then the coaches get fired, and now there's misalignment, and more times than not, that's how these guys wind up.
And then the quarterback's in a 2nd system in year 2.
Or, I mean, in Baker's case, it was, I don't want
3 offensive coordinators. It
was 3. Yeah. It was Hugh, and then it was Freddie, and then it was Kevin. So he had 3 head coaches in his first, 3-4 years, something like that.
Not fertile breeding ground.
So that is recipe for disaster. And now Cam Ward's going to go through it.
He will.
He's
already going through it.
Just like Daniel Jones went through it.
Don't put Baker in the same group as Geno Smith and Sam Darnold.
Because he was the number 1 pick?
No, because he had some level of success. Those guys were complete zeros.
Yeah, there was nothing redeeming about any of those guys.
We've debated for years how much success he had here.
Right.
But he certainly had a level. Nobody would debate.
Yeah, there was reason to think that there's something there. And 4 different teams called his name, essentially.
I think what the thing that we're making the mistake of is we've been told so much how much they like Dillon Gabriel here in their walls, that we've kind of conflated that their like or affinity to him to guys that were first-round picks. Like, he doesn't have.
That's 1,000%
That's a
accurate.
good point.
He doesn't have Baker's arm. He doesn't have Baker's competitive nature. He doesn't. Sam Darnold was a bona fide blue chip 6'4", 5" type dude from USC. Lamar Jackson is electric. Josh Allen was like, these guys had visible traits that are sitting there. To me, he does. He's a really good college quarterback, right? But when you talk about physically, he doesn't have those things. So, Bull said it. There's a lot of teams. You got to have one thing if you want to be a starting quarterback. You got to have something that you can do that you can just lean on. If you don't have that to lean on, you got to have pieces and parts in the coaching staff to help you lean on those things. For me, I look at Dillon Gabriel and we just get down to the play. So you take a look at, me and Tyvis broke down the film. We looked at it. And what we found was there are some plays to be had, and there was a route on the backside of a route where there was a dig and then there was a post, and Tyvis paused it. He said, "In the college, this right here, this don't look like this looks like a situation where this is bagged up. Guys is over this, but in the league, that's open." So I think he's having a trouble with figuring out what's open and what's not open. And this is a comment from Tommy Reese, right? Daniel Afusi says this. He says, Browns offensive coordinator Tommy Reese is trying to unlock the passing game. He says, we just got to trust it. We got to put Dillon in the right spots to see the coverage, trust what he's seeing, let it go. That starts with us coaches. We got to put him in the right positions. We got to put him in the right positions during the week to make sure he's confident in those plays. Throughout training camp, throughout the preseason, he was not trigger shy on that stuff. So he's
hesitant to make those throws now.
So that tells me from the offensive coordinator, he's hesitant to make those throws. And so the offense is stagnant because you got to throw those type plays in order to open other things up. So I think he's a little gun shy. I think the speed of the game, whether you want to say he's a rookie or a supercomputer, it's a different level. So we'll see how he has it or what he goes through, but he's going to have to make himself have some plays available where he's able to let it go and throw it and trust it.
Right. You can't – they in college, especially at Oregon with all the talent they have, like in most games, his receivers are going to be wide open. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen in the NFL.
The other thing, too,
wide open is a different definition.
In the Stefanski offense, like the thing he hates, and every NFL head coach hates it, turnovers. And perhaps it's been drilled into a young player's head so much. Right. The worst thing you can do is throw an interception. Well, that might be the worst thing you can tell a young quarterback. Yeah. Because if he's terrified of throwing an interception and he just watched Joe Flacco throw 5 and get traded, I can see how a young kid would process that as, I'm not throwing the ball unless I'm sure my guy's going to catch it or no one's going to catch it.
I can't imagine Kevin's harder than any other coach about.
No,
I don't think he is.
No, but all head coaches preach that.
What did you say, Mike?
Chicago last year, it was a disaster.
It was.
Matt Eberflus was a disaster. Caleb Williams talked about it when Ben Johnson came. One of the things Ben Johnson told Caleb, and he did I forget who he did the interview with, but worth watching. He said, I was scared to make tight window throws because Matt Eberflus told me a turnover was going to get me benched, essentially. Like, not in those exact words.
Yeah.
And Ben Johnson said, Caleb, you're special. You can make throws that other guys can't make.
Trust yourself.
You have to take some risks to be able to get the reward. Don't be reckless. There's a fine line between reckless
and 1,000% correct,
and
Mike.
But Matt Eberflus had told Caleb, hey, don't turn the ball over.
Dumb.
And it got him fired.
And Matt Eberflus, by the way, terrible coach, got fired. But I do think that happens in
Kevin
the NFL.
Stefanski's not doing that. I can't imagine.
No, I don't think he is.
And I don't think Eberflus actually said, don't throw interceptions, you'll get benched. I think he was preaching so much that we cannot have interceptions that's the way he translated it. The player translated it. And I can see why a young player would think that way.
The thing that's interesting about that is I did the story on it last year. Ben's the one who, at his introductory press conference, said turnovers used to be the most important stat. It's not anymore. It's quarterback success. It's getting into some of the advanced into the weeds on that. But the only reason, and so it goes back to what Mike was saying. He's the guy who's now married with Caleb Williams to don't worry about interceptions. If you throw a couple, that's okay, which goes back to the conversation I had with Mike Martz. I know we've talked about it before. Mike told me I would much rather have a guy who would try and throw it through an ear hole and risk a pick than a guy who's afraid to turn it over, because I can't do anything with that. I can rein a guy in. I can't put a guy out there.
Yeah, no, I agree
So
with
he
that.
liked the more aggressive
And
guys.
look where the Bears are this year, too, by the way.
But to the more important, like back to the Gabriel discussion, he wasn't supposed to play. He's not supposed to be playing right now. The Browns had a plan for quarterback for 24 hours.
That's it.
That's it. They had a plan for 24 hours. Jimmy told you, they drove home from the draft Friday night thinking either Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco was their starter. Whichever one wasn't the starter was the backup. And Dillon was the third quarterback. You could bring him along slowly. Not probably going to play behind two veterans. And that was going to be their quarterback room.
Yeah.
For 24 hours. And then they took Shador, and it threw a grenade in the room, and now Dillon's the starter, Shador's the backup, and Bailey Zappi's in town. And the two veterans are nowhere to be found.
What is it? Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth?
I mean, but the Browns hit themselves in the mouth.
Yeah, it was self-inflicted. They did it to themselves.
And maybe it all works out in the end. Maybe they figure it all out, and maybe it all works out. But I'm just saying.
You don't believe that.
I have to say it.
Yeah.
For my sake.
Don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
Got to put it out there. But think about that. For 24 hours, they had a plan at quarterback.
Yeah.
And then they blew up their own plan. But to the original rundown question, it was really more about the Patriots are stout against the run, and how do you unlock, or what do you do if you can't run the ball? And my answer to that is keep running the ball.
Yeah, keep doing it.
You can't give up on the run too soon, which is what they've done. You can't.
That's been Kevin's issue at times.
It has,
Yeah.
100%. He's given up on the run. We've seen it over the years. Most recently was Pittsburgh, but he's done it 2 years ago as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Dillon is dropping back 50 times Sunday in New England, it's a loss.
Guaranteed.
So you have to go 2 tight end sets. Njoku sounds like he's going to be back. That's a good thing. Go to 3 tight ends. Bring Luke Whippler in as the third tight end, as the extra blocker if you have to. Go to 13 personnel.
Yeah.
Whatever you have to do, you have got to keep trying to establish the run. Quinshawn can't leave this game with 11 or 12 carries, or it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, Leroy punched on that too. Leroy was like, look, it doesn't matter. Yards per carry, it doesn't matter. It matters how many times you run the ball.
I would push back a little. I mean,
I know you
he's
don't
an
like
NFL
that.
running back. I'm not going to tell him. I don't want it to sound that way. But I think if you're running first down, second down, third down, and you're facing 3rd and 8, well, guess what? The yards per carry matters.
Well, but he also, and this was funny, but he also gave us a math problem. He said, okay, you're averaging 3 yards a carry. What's 4 times 3?
Yeah, but yes. But are you going to go for it?
But you don't get 4 downs.
Are you going to go for it?
Sure you do if you want them.
4th and 1 from your own 28. Are you going to go for that? No.
Or the problem with that math problem is
It's not ideal.
You're not going to get 4 yards. You're not going to get 3 yards on every play.
Right. It doesn't
Sean
work that
Junkins
way.
had
No, but the
84
average-
yards and 46 on one.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Other 23 carries, he had 36 total.
But
yards.
here's the beauty of that, and this I think was Leroy's point. If you're rolling dice and you only roll them 3 times, don't expect to get your number. But if you keep rolling dice and you keep rolling dice, you increase the opportunity and the odds that you do break that long run, which then skews your average. It's funny because the league is built on analytics now, but really the most basic of equations is the 4 times 3 equation.
but
It really is. I mean, you don't need to average 5 yards a carry.
here's another equation that defensive coordinators all around the world know. It's a numbers game. I'm going to put more people than you have to block. The quarterback does not block. The running back can't block for
Where
himself.
the wild dog comes in.
So we're going to snap it to you, but I got 9 dudes up there. And if it's Jerry Jeudy out here, and listen, if you telling me it's Jerry Jeudy on a hobbled knee and it's Quinshawn Judkins, I come out in goal line. You be mad at me. That Quinshawn Judkins will not get he's good. He ain't Barry Sanders. We going to make him be Walter Payton today.
Right, yeah.
And we going to shut that down.
And that's what Mike, I would
of course he's
assure
gonna do
you
that.
that's what
Of
Mike
course.
Vrabel is going to do.
If Jerry Jeudy want to cook or Jamari Thrash and he come out with a career day, you shake his hand and say, Jamari Thrash just wrecked us today.
Yeah. And you'll still have your best corner on Judy, I guess, but depending on how
He
they
ain't
play
doing
it.
that. They're going to
Christian
have to
Gonzalez is a damn good corner.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Like, he is a very good cornerback. The other side of the field will be more open, but Christian
Yeah,
Gonzalez
but
can lock
the
things
Browns unfortunately don't have any receivers. So outside of Judy, so
He speaks the truth.
I mean that's it. The rest of the receiving core stinks. I actually argued at the beginning of the season that maybe the Browns wouldn't have the worst wide receiving core, but they do.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Jerry Judy would be a lot better.
You've
than
also
he is.
changed around because Judy, we were talking, is Judy a wide receiver 1? And I'm like, no, he's terrible.
Well, coming
And-
into the year, he was.
Yeah, but this was even like week 3. I'm like, the
Well,
guy,
because listen, I still think he's a decent receiver in the right set of circumstances. Decent, but obviously these are not the right set of circumstances. He's having a terrible year,
yeah, it's
he's been
embarrassing.
terrible.
It's
and that's
really
why
bad.
he never belonged in the All-Pro conversation.
Wasn't Tez Johnson a free agent or something? Didn't he not even
I
get
think it's
drafted?
a fifth round. I'll look it up. I think it's a fifth
No,
round pick.
he was out of Oregon, right? Is that the guy from Oregon?
Yeah, it's got Tyvus.
Yeah, got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
How?
It's
Yeah.
a lot
Tez
easier when
was
you're
a
the
seventh
fourth or
round
fifth option and you have a good quarterback.
Yeah,
and a
but
good
now
offensive line.
Tez Johnson's
Gee,
like the second
seventh
option.
He was a what?
Seventh rounder.
Now they went to see Dillon Gabriel how many times? They didn't see Tez Johnson even throwing to him?
And Tyvus, who knows something about
well,
wide receiver play, said
Yeah.
he was the guy they most wanted to see the Browns draft.
Can I give one pushback on Tez real quick?
Yeah.
And it's worked out. He weighed at the combine, according to NFL.com, at 158.3 pounds.
Okay.
There has to be some
He's had
hesitation
one
drafting
game,
him.
right? I mean, what's his?
No, he's had touchdowns in 2 straight games, I believe. I could be wrong on
What
that.
are his stats the last 2 weeks, Mike?
It is loading 1 second.
Anything you
Tez
get-
Johnson
one
on
was
the
a deep
season
ball.
has 10 catches, 170 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
So let's not get carried away.
Well, hey,
That-
it's more than our wide receiver 1 has.
Well, what does Jerry Judy got?
Jerry Judy is the number 1 guy. Tez Johnson has been the number 4, 5. Now he's the number 3, I guess.
If
2,
your
maybe.
6 got more touches than your number 1,
They're a better
Yeah.
team.
nasty
Yeah.
work.
It's not an apples to apples comparison.
Labels can be confusing.
By the way,
You don't think Jerry Judy, as bad as he's been, don't you think he'd be playing better if he were on the Buccaneers?
probably,
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
probably
He can't
not.
be playing worse for what
He
it's
can't.
worth.
What's that?
Literally
Can't be playing
play
worse.
But by the way, McNuggets,
Yes, you can. Look at every other wide receiver on the Browns.
if they drafted Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round, the Browns are
That's our
not.
bar.
They don't have a size ranking. Like size doesn't matter to the Cleveland Browns. They bring
Fair.
in who they bring in.
What did Gerald McNeil weigh? The Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
He was
Even,
about $160.
Even
155.
Sterling Shepard's been decent for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Like
he
whoever
has.
they put in there contributes.
It helps when you got a good quarterback, right, Jay?
Hey, listen, you took the words right out of my mouth, McNuggets.
Look at his face. You
And a
lit
good
up.
offensive line.
Look at your face.
Got to see if
Now,
Baker.
I'm done with the victory.
We gotta see if Baker
We all
gets
know
that
what it
twinkle.
is. We know what
We
it is.
got to see if Baker
I
gets
do
out of his slump, though.
love this though. This is funny because Bull's rooting for him now, allegedly.
Right, and then he.
But what was funny was when they got boat raced really by Detroit. It wasn't a good night at all.
Right.
And I know he's
Just
down all of his wide receivers, but Bull
Bull
came
came
back.
back, he put just-
Baker regressed.
Hey, he kicked in the door to chat.
That was. You know what's funny?
Baker's
though?
trash again.
I do a show. I do a podcast with Brandon Stokely, 2-time Super Bowl champion Brandon Stokely, and we recorded on Thursday nights, and we pick games, right?
Sure.
So last night I told him one of my picks, my best bet or my second best bet was taking the Buccaneers, and I said Baker hasn't played consecutive bad games since going to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
As much as that pains me to admit.
I'll tell you, though,
but he did play lousy last week. And
What did Brandon pick? Detroit?
No, he didn't pick that game.
They
Because
play-
to me-
they play the Saints this weekend. He
To-
saw it this
oh, I
Yeah,
see.
Saints,
This weekend,
Saints,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, this weekend,
Now,
you're
my
right.
best bet this week, and maybe I'm biased, although I crap on my team as much as any. The
Yeah.
Bengals are less than a touchdown favorite against the Jets.
I see that.
That-
Is that in New York? Is that why?
No, in
No, it's in
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Wow.
I know that's
Terod
stealing.
Taylor.
That's stealing.
Yeah. And
Gee,
even
Christmas.
Terod Taylor's not 100% healthy. Plus, no, I don't think Garrett Wilson's playing, and I don't think what's his name? Their best corner, Sauce Gardner. I don't think he's playing either.
It's so bad.
Tough
I
matchup
picked
against
up the
March.
Bengals defense.
I know, and their defense stinks.
They're horrible.
But, yeah,
but
against
against
the
the
Jets,
Jets,
I mean, yeah.
and just the fact that we lived this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Flacco now has his mojo going.
Oh, yeah,
And,
for a couple of weeks he'll probably be good.
Yeah, who knows what happens
Yeah,
after
yeah.
4 or 5 games, but he's in that zone right now. He had a great soundbite in this week's
About
media
eating by himself?
about eating by himself.
Yeah,
If you
that's
didn't
awesome.
see it, he said he used to see guys eating in bars or restaurants by themselves and feel very sorry for them. But now that he's by himself and doing that a lot because his family is back in New Jersey, he said, I now realize those people were actually in heaven.
Well,
and that made me laugh.
Great quote.
Well,
It was a
what's
great
funny is later in the week they asked Jamar Chase. They were like, "Do you like eating by yourself?" And Jamar Chase was like, Are you crazy? I don't eat by myself ever. In a restaurant.
Yeah.
Right.
It was pretty, shows the difference in age, right?
That is exactly
I love
right.
eating by myself.
Yeah, when you're 20, it's the worst thing in the
it's
world.
uncomfortable.
It basically
I go
might
to
as
the
well
movies by myself sometimes.
Wear a shirt that says "I have no friends." That's basically what you're doing. But when you get older and quiet alone time is very rare. Hell yeah,
It's
eating
nice.
a meal by yourself can be one of the greatest things ever.
I went to the movies by myself.
Y'all
a couple
allowed
weeks ago.
doing that?
What do you mean?
You allowed doing that?
What do you mean? Like for my wife?
Man, you
She don't
crazy.
mind.
You better listen, there's no way G. Bush is allowed. Listen, if I got to go to the gas station at 10 o'clock, she like, where we going?
Really?
Let me get my bag together. No. What we doing?
Where are we going?
Where we
What
going?
have you done that you haven't
do you
yet
think you're going?
won her trust?
Hey, listen,
For 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Going to get gas.
Ain't no such a thing as winning no trust with no Filipino woman.